The two cities, of course, had been bitter rivals prior to even thinking about something like University Avenue. But in 1873, leaders of the business associations in both Minneapolis and St. Paul came up with the idea that what the two cities needed was something to help unify, help bring the two cities together. And they proposed a wonderful broad boulevard that would link the two downtowns, and they called it Broad Avenue. And their vision was a street that had 660 feet right-of-way with a commuter steam rail line going right down the middle, connecting the two downtowns, and flanking the rail line would be linear parks of some 100 feet wide on both sides, just an enormous boulevard. That vision did not happen. Things were moving pretty quickly. They needed to make the connection between the two cities, and a much smaller, scaled-down version was introduced, still fairly significant in size, 120 feet wide, which is a very, very wide right-of-way.
Early travelers along that right-of-way would have traveled by foot or on horseback. But as the two downtowns developed, people needed a faster means of getting from one to the other. The era of the steam railway was taking hold across America. By the early 1880s, commercial rail service connected the two cities.
Prior to the coming of the electric line, the way you got between downtown Minneapolis and downtown St. Paul was over one of three steam railroads. And each of those three railroads had hourly trains between the twin cities that served a series of intermediate stations about every mile between the cities.
Ambitious real estate developers soon bought up large pieces of land around these stations and marketed these areas with their winding streets and lush foliage as picturesque residential neighborhoods for the growing merchant class.
Most money is made when land is changed from rural to urban. That's when the biggest jump in value occurs. So those guys knew that, and they set out to create some suburbs.
They were viewed as suburban developments, even though technically they weren't suburbs. They were in the city limits. But these were railroad suburbs, where you would be accessible to the city via the commuter train, but you didn't have to be in the city. It was much more peaceful. St. Anthony Park is one of those. McAllister Park is one. Miriam Park, which is on University Avenue, is another one.
Miriam Park was boosted as going to be the center of the metropolitan area on University Avenue.
These were kind of high-end residential lots that were sold and marketed quite successfully.
I think it's not an exaggeration to say that many real estate developers and businessmen and politicians looked at University Avenue as kind of the goose that lays the golden egg, that there's going to be a lot of action here and we're going to make a lot of money and have a great time.